Welcome to the Craig and Greg Show, presented by Maximize Leadership. Here are Craig Owens and Greg Harris.
Hey, welcome to the Craig and Greg Show. I'm Craig. This is Greg. We love being able to come with you, join with you every month on some great leadership topics. When we first started this project, we asked a lot of questions from a lot of people. We talked to Ian and Austin about set design and equipment and length of the podcast. Once we started getting a couple of episodes out, we'd go to some friends and say, "What'd you think?" And you wouldn't let people slide by just saying it was good. We would really press them for that. And we're still taking that feedback and incorporating that in. I love a phrase that you have about feedback I think is really important for leaders.
It's pretty simple, but it's not about Wheaties or a good skillet of eggs. It's basically feedback is the breakfast of champions. And I think when you look at teams, whether they're sports or business or schools or churches or any organization, if someone can give and receive feedback, it's a healthy environment.
Yeah. Well, so we know that, saying that up front. But why is it that you think that a lot of people don't want to hear feedback from somebody else?
I think there's some psychology behind why we don't. One is we want to feel good about ourselves, and we've maybe placed feedback as in someone's critiquing me. Now, that might have been a first experience on feedback, but feedback really isn't supposed to be for the negative or hurtful. It should be for growth, and partly is the delivery of feedback, right? And then also the reception of versus arguing or debating about it.
So I think a couple of things come to my mind about feedback. I think one, on our side, has to be some humility to recognize, maybe I could improve, But I think that the other one, too, is evaluating the source of the feedback. So what would you say that you would consider would be a good source for positive feedback, like the kind that we really should listen to and pay attention?
Well, I think it's with someone who you feel has your best interest. So, for example, for us leaders, if our associates, teammates, people that we work with or serve, if they question our intention, our feedback might just be that dry seed that falls on the sidewalk and not in the dirt. Yeah, I think the one part that is difficult for the receiver is if there's some self-doubt, self-esteem issues. So our leadership job is to read that. Right. And that's not easy, whether you're kids or your associates or clients or people who are vendors to your company. It's not easy to think like them, but I think that's our goal when we're giving feedback. To me, the translation of feedback is coachability.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, a guy comes off the field, let's use football as an example, and he made a mistake, and the coach goes over, and you see the player avoids the coach. So two things are happening there. One is he knows he's going to get his chewed, or that person hasn't been super accurate and kind, because feedback should be a place for you to get better, not to beat you up and make you feel small. I'm going to give you one funny feedback that I got. It was a little post late on my game, but I was playing a local college, a rival in college, and my football coach, we were having a good year. And so this is the championship. We win, we win. If we lose, we tie for the championship. And I played quarterback, and I threw from the wrong side, though. That really was my first excuse.
No, I think everybody else throws from the wrong side.
I was in my right side, though, of my brain. That's anyway, right. So this particular team was probably my worst game in college. And after 3 interceptions, my coach at the very end on the sidelines goes, "Are you colorblind?" And I took that quite humorously, because instead of just reaming me and yelling and grabbing my face mask, which he never did, it really was the point was well taken, right? Sure. Yeah, I've been throwing the ball to the wrong guys. So I think coachability is really big. Are we coachable as leaders? Because if we're not, because we don't have all the best ideas, but the responsibility is us.
Right.
But when teammates bring us ideas and we kind of poo-poo because it's not ours, we've lost credibility to even give them feedback.
I think one of my pet peeves, because I think it's almost like somebody read it in a book somewhere, like if I'm going to tell you something that you need to improve, I need to compliment you and then I'm going to tell you what you need to improve, and then I'm going to compliment you again. And I don't know about you, but whenever somebody has tried kind of the formula on me, it feels like a formula.
Yeah, it
It's
does.
almost like their compliment up front. You're like going, okay, I know what's coming next. Can we just stop playing the game? Just say what you want to say.
Right.
So it can't be a formula when you're trying to offer feedback to somebody.
Right. When I've given feedback and it's been received decent or well and it's worked, which I hope is more than not, I'll usually start it off with, hey, Craig, I want the best for you, and I love our team, and I want you on this thing to be an all-star. Here's one thing you might consider adapting, changing, trying to be more impactful for our team or our company or our church or whatever it is. And it doesn't give that sandwich one, right, which is the analogy. It's, kind of a little sweet, then you get them, then you give them a little sweet, and they're like, I didn't hear the other two. All I heard was the
Where you were dumping on
the
me.
negative in the middle. Yeah. And I think that's a big deal. I'm going to do a little vulnerability here if you'll let me. So I played sports obviously and I enjoyed it, and some great experiences with mentors and teammates. So I'm in Rocket football. It's really important on a Saturday because the number one thing at when you go to that game is who brought the donuts.
Oh yeah.
It's just Rocket football. So we were playing in a championship. I'm 13 years old. My coach is very, very intense, and he's getting the best out of me, partly because he yelled. And so we're in the fourth quarter. We're down by a touchdown, 7 points. And ironically, he calls a play, and I'm like, that's not a good one. So I went into the huddle and changed the play. And it was a miserable fail, and we lost by a touchdown because we didn't score after I took the bull by the horns. And so after that episode, I walk off the field, and I wasn't interested in the coach's feedback because I could tell his hat was off, steam's flying out of his face, and his wife is in front of him trying to hold him back. I'm thinking, I think I'll skip donuts today and just go to my mom's station wagon, And I think that is a great coachable moment. Like, I thought I knew more. I thought I knew better. I thought he didn't know enough. Yes. I thought he was wrong. And as a leader, we have to be okay with people are going to have some confidence or ego or maybe arrogance or assertion to be something great. Sure. And they have to let them fail a little bit. And this coach ended up being a good friend, but that was a miserable coachability moment for me.
I picked up something from one of my my wife is a school teacher, and her principal has to do an evaluation of all the teachers every year. And one of her principals, I loved what she would write in her evaluation. She'd say, Mrs. Owens did this and this and this and this. And then she put this phrase, I wonder what it might look like if she did this. And I loved having that statement because it was really, it's good feedback. Mm-hmm. But instead of saying to somebody, what you should change is this, it was really kind of just putting it out there like, have you thought about...
Could it be better?
I wonder what it might look like if you at least try this. And that I think is a great way to couch it for somebody because you're not like speaking down from on high, right, but you're really coming on their level and saying, I'm just wondering if I, would it look any different if you tried it this way, or what would happen if? Do that kind
you
of thing.
use the word humility, and it's really an untaught word today in society. And but what it really shows us is, are you open?
Sure.
And take that in a faith standpoint. Obviously, the Holy Spirit can quicken us, challenge us, touch our heart, and say, do that one again. Apologize for that. There's a different way to do it. I'm going to call you to the carpet. And so it comes from a spiritual standpoint, not just a business or relational. It's very critical. This may date some of us leaders, but I remember when Nextel phones came out, and there was sort of a regional space. It wasn't like a global coverage of Nextel. So you'd be talking, and then you'd get feedback. I can't hear you, Bill. And that feedback just drives me crazy. And I think that's one of the things we struggle with is it shouldn't drive you crazy. Feedback actually should drive you to better. And really the key is being open to it. I have one coaching example. A young sales guy came to me and goes, hey, I've heard you're really good in business or really good in sales, whatever his compliment was. And I took it as sincere. I would like to be like you. And I says, oh, no, don't do that. Be like you and just take some of the habits and work on those skills, and
Sure.
you'll be amazing. And I said, so why do you want to be in sales, and why do you want to be successful? And that's part of coaching, the process, you know. And he goes, well, I want to make $1 million. And my facial expression obviously gave it away. And I said, I don't think you ever will. I mean, he was visibly despondent. Why would you say that? I said, because I think your clients and some teammates will know that you're only about the money and not about helping.
Yep.
What ended up happening was he came back much later and said, you were right. Can you help me now? And that was that coachable moment where feedback would have not been wasted.
Yep.
You know, the sower of the seeds parable in the Bible where, you know, of the 3 throws, only 1 grew.
Yeah.
And that's really what we've got to do as leaders is the timing of it, how we present it. Maybe we do it wrong and come back. I just wanted to give you feedback. What's a better way to do it? I've done that before with people, and they really relish that.
Or even as we talked about in a previous episode about the love language,
Perfect.
you know, let me think about a little bit, what's your love language? So I'm going to speak this feedback in a way that you're going to be more open to receive it.
Yeah. And in the end, you're giving feedback not to be mean. You're actually giving
Right.
feedback to lead. I was affiliated with another leader, and their style of feedback was passive aggressive. And I won't say this on video because I don't think it's a great terminology, but not many people would say a good thing. They would have say, you know, naughty things about this guy because he didn't get it.
Yeah.
He was unhumble and he was passive aggressive with, I call it shied comments, snidey, just, you know, snarky. And people don't grow. They don't trust. And I think that's the one thing us as leaders, we have to be the do as I say and as I do with feedback. Because they'll say, well, Craig, you don't do it that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you have an example?
Well, I would say as an example, I would use our relationship that you have been very open to things that I've said, and so that makes me naturally open to things that you're going to say. You know, and I think that everybody's been in a conversation where you're like talking to somebody, and it feels like the other person's doing like this.
Yeah.
You know, and you're like, well, why would I even talk to them? And then it's almost like, okay, well, you're done, so now let me talk to you.
Right.
Well, if you weren't going to listen to what I was saying, you know, it's going to be hard for me to receive what you're saying.
They almost waited for that opportunity to talk. You know, maybe to wrap this up and maybe put a plug in. So coaching looks different for a lot of different arrangements or where they're at in life. But I think the part where we really wish to excel for those that would be interested to write us and to consider a coaching arrangement, there's a lot of ways to get this accomplished. But one is there's trust from us. You know, that we're not going to talk about a coaching client. The other part is they need to know that we're very passionate that they're going to succeed. Right. And when you give advice, feedback, you want to be careful, but you also want them to get their attention and so that they can get better. It just makes for the whole team to really operate well. So from a coaching standpoint, please write us. We have email, we have our website, Maximize Leadership, our podcast. You can subscribe and communicate with us. We love the interaction. One of the, language of love comments is the words. Yep. And so we don't necessarily just want like the affirmation, but we want information. We want likes that you like, dislikes that you like, something that struck you, and it helps us get better at our craft. And really, coaching is all about investment. It isn't from a Papa standpoint of, he thinks he knows a lot. It's, right. I want you to be awesome, and you, and you, and you.
Yes.
And that's that awesomeness about coaching, where feedback can really make this next leader rise and shine.
Yep. So if you go to our website, if you go to maximizeleadership.com, we actually have a page on there that says Maximize Coaching, and you can learn more about the coaching that we provide in our coaching huddles, and there'll be a form at the bottom of that page. If you're interested, you can fill that out. We'll get back in touch with you and get you plugged in with one of our huddles coming up. But continue to follow us on Twitter and interact with us there, and on YouTube. We'd love to be able to talk with you a little bit more and coach you to your next levels of success as well. Thanks for joining us. We'll talk to you soon.
Get in touch with Craig and Greg through Twitter at Maximize Podcast or at MaximizeLeadership.com. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any episodes of The Craig and Greg Show.